So here I am out in the woods. Sunset's coming soon, and I'm with Ranger, my teaching assistant, who always provides many interesting points. And I'm just going to do a little bit of an intro to the CAP 506 course. One of the things I want you to think about in terms of the big picture is this is not the perfect course to help you get a job. What it is providing you with a bunch of ways to build up some tools and use some things along that process. But finding a job these days is not as easy as it was many years ago for a whole bunch of different reasons, which I'm sure you're aware of. It's not just related to COVID, it's also related to the power of web and web-based information and social media and all those kinds of things. But one of the things remains a constant, and that is networking. I'm going to emphasize that a lot in this course. So some of the topics like perfect cover page and writing the perfect resume, I'm not going to emphasize too much, because there's a lot of people say now in 2020 that's not the way to get a job. The best way to get a job is to say, "Dear Mr. Watanabe, further to the brief meeting I had with you on Wednesday walking through Royal Bank Plaza, I'd like to follow up with something, something, something." That's networking because you bumped into somebody. The other way I want you to think about it is in terms of what you learned in Intro to Marketing several semesters ago. We talked about product orientation, a sales orientation, and a marketing orientation. I want you to remember that, because what we taught you in that context was that product orientation is to say, buy this stuff because it's really, really super good quality, and if we make it really good quality, it will be self-evident that you will need it and want it. That's a product orientation. And if you apply it to job hunting, that's like saying, I've done this, I've done volunteer activity here, I did this, please, I really need a job, I'll work really hard, hire me. Which then puts the onus upon the person who's reading it to go, geez, okay, well, this is really impressive, but how do I match them for what I really need right now? And it doesn't make it easy. The other way, of course, is a sales orientation to say, well, I'll do this and you don't have to pay me as much, and I'll do extra this and not as much as the other person requires. But the best solution is a marketing orientation. Remember, a marketing orientation, when I did the example of my watch, was to walk up to someone and say, hey, you look kind of athletic, do you do any swimming? They say no. You walk up to the next person. You look athletic, do you do any swimming? Yes, I do. Do you do any skin diving, scuba diving? Oh, really? So you probably know the value of a really good quality swimming watch, diving watch. So what you're doing before you spill everything about how great you are, you find out what the person's actually interested in. You do some questions. So a job interview is not necessarily about you answering questions, but also asking some good questions. Because by asking those questions, you can find out what do they really need. And by knowing what they need, you can then say what you're good at, specifically relevant to that need. And that will help you get a better job. And I'm going to emphasize this in several different ways in the course. Talking to someone, networking, finding out what it is that they have problems or what they can't do, or what do they want in a new hire, somebody who's blended could do a bunch of things, and then you emphasize that in the interview. All right? And of course, the best way to get a job is not have an interview at all. What I mean by that? I mean you do networking to such a great extent that you know exactly what the person wants, and you simply communicate that to them, and they don't have to interview you. They just say, yeah, you've got exactly what we need. We need someone with this language that understands this thing about the internet, that understands that marketing practice, that has that experience with events and activities. Just go and get them, okay? What do you think, Ranger? Do you agree? Marketing orientation, asking questions first?